Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Townsley. I'm here with Akshar Patel. I'm the Secure Connect Chief Architect. And
I work as a product manager for Secure Connect.
Great. Jumping right in. Cisco plus Secure Connect, I'm going to give you a bit of a reminder of what this is. If you walk away with one thing, it is that Cisco plus Secure Connect aims to interconnect everything with security everywhere, whether these are sites, users, applications, and we do this with a unified experience as well as support. And what I mean there is we have a dedicated support team that when you have the Secure Connect service, if there's an issue, you get in touch with that support team and they are with you every step of the way, no matter what part of the system may be causing the trouble. So unified experience, unified support.
Can you clarify what unified support means? Is that a different TAC entity? Is that?
If you're familiar with the Meraki support system, it's very similar to that, except for it is modeled in the same way, except it is dedicated to Secure Connect. Secure Connect utilizes a lot of the capabilities of Umbrella SIG. So this team knows how to delineate between the two, as well as any other systems, including Catalyst systems that may be part of the Secure Connect offer. So I was here talking with you a year ago when we launched Secure Connect. When we launched this, we launched it with ZTNA, remote access site connectivity. We focused on the ease of management. Secure Connect is built into the Meraki dashboard. We also have deep integration with Meraki networks, in particular with Meraki SD-WAN, and that was all part of the first launch a year ago. In February 2023, Akshar, my partner here up on stage, focused on the new things that had come in that time. What we're doing is we're constantly iterating, we're constantly bringing out new services with Secure Connect. We introduced the Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN integration. This is Catalyst, formerly known as Viptela, Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN. The Cisco SD-WAN integration was launched in February of 2023. And a bit more of this deep integration that we're going to be talking more about. In February, deep integration of our policies, we're reading in Meraki policies and copying them into the cloud security to make sure that they were consistent. And Akshar is going to be talking about the next step, which is even better, in this What's New section. So we're not going to be reviewing too much on what we've already talked about. Go back and look at those other sessions. We're really focusing on what's new. And in particular, the what's new I'm going to talk about is our new service edge, which is a bit under the covers, okay, back-end stuff, but there is, it does bring a better experience. In fact, we really brought the service edge for 3 reasons, and I'll get to that on the next slide. And then Akshar will jump in and talk about that deep integration and unified policy. So here's our architecture. This is where I live and breathe. And you see this, we've named this edge the service edge. You think of this as the traffic acquisition mechanisms. Whether it's a Meraki SD-WAN, Catalyst SD-WAN, an IPsec tunnel, AnyConnect or Cisco Secure Client with DTLS, an unmanaged endpoint, which is an HTTPS redirect to a proxy. However we're bringing in the traffic, that is the service edge. Now the new capabilities is a cloud native aspect of the service edge, which improves upon sustainability, efficiency, and the experience. I want to talk about the first two to begin with. For sustainability, you've seen the net zero goals that we have here at Cisco. The cloud native head end is far more efficient than what we were using before. And that'll become apparent in just a moment. It also, because of its efficiency, so it's power efficient, less CPUs, et cetera, for the amount of traffic. And we can actually pass that on to you. So we're doubling the amount of throughput that Secure Connect sites can send through the cloud with the introduction of this service edge. Okay? We're doing that even with less power than before. And the third thing is the experience itself. I'm going to move to that in just a moment. So again, the service edge is bringing all this traffic acquisition combined with the interconnect. It allows us to bring in traffic optionally put it through the security services. If we need the security services, we'll use them here. If we are able to perform the security services in the edge, we perform them in the edge, okay? Distributed enforcement, centralized policy. And then the interconnect function allows us to send the traffic to any of the other connected sites. So you can route traffic from your Viptela site into your Meraki site. From VPN users can access applications in a Catalyst site or a Meraki site. It's going to take a long time to retrain that. Whether they're in a public cloud, private cloud, data center, this part of the system doesn't really care how the traffic came in. It's normalized and it allows you access to the same security features as well as reachability as any other, no matter what type of traffic, of tunnel or SD-WAN brings in the traffic. So how does the service edge give you a better experience? This was our site onboarding. Now, this is an improvement over per tunnel type of configuration, which this brought us a year ago, was you could go under our CloudRamp organization, connect the umbrella organization and Meraki organizations together with API keys. Some automation magic would happen. You would select the actual data centers that you wanted to spin up virtualized MXs inside, deploy those connector hubs in the pairs, then assign the sites, keeping in mind 21 ratio per hub, right? And this was because we were utilizing virtual machines for this SD-WAN capability. What the new Service Edge does is it breaks this apart into the data plane and the control plane pieces. The data plane pieces can scale independently of the control plane pieces. And this is very similar to what went to those of us that have been in the business for a very long time. Remember when we took our routers and brought them into the service provider arena for layer 3 VPNs. There was a big discussion back then of virtual routers versus virtual route forwarding. So, you know, one method was to take the whole router and give the customer in that service provider a whole router for every single customer, the virtual router method. The other is the VRF, which is like, no, you don't need to do that. We just need to, you know, make the routing system able to handle multiple customers. And the latter won the day. It's just far more efficient. And it's really what's been the way we've been doing interconnects for individual customers and service providers. This new Service Edge brings that capability into the cloud. So you're effectively running the data plane independent from the control plane, allowing it to scale independently. And this is how we get the greater efficiency, sustainability, and the experience, because you're no longer thinking about this 20-to-1 hub ratio anymore.
So is this a multi-tenant kind of thing where different customers are going to be using the same service, or one service per customer aggregating in? Or?
Well, they're using the same. At the end of the day, we're all using the same CPUs in a cloud, right?
Yeah.
And instead of, I guess if you think of it on a spectrum, on one end of the spectrum, you could give them separate physical MXs, or you could give them separate virtual MXs, or you could have a common VM and have separate containers, or you could just go all the way down to the actual service, which is routing packets and decrypting packets or what have you, and just keeping them very separate by virtue of the separate virtual forwarding tables, but operating within one, you know, VM or bare metal or ultimately ASICs, right? So it allows you to scale that separately. But yeah, it's all using the shared infrastructure, but keeping the segmentation separate the same way you would in a layer 3 VPN, MPLS VPN.
Does that impact potentially FedRAMP or FIPS applications?
So I don't know. Off the top of my head, I believe we will be fine on this. We haven't, the CNHE is going through, the cloud native headend is going through FIPS and FedRAMP right now. So I cannot say for sure that it won't, But I believe we will be fine in the sense that there is a long history of very similar types of traffic segmentation done. If FedRep wants us to have separate CPUs for every customer, it's going to get very expensive and not very sustainable.
What level of FedRAMP are you going for? Where do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. So before onboarding, we had to go through all these steps and then however many steps to assign. So I'm going to go to what the experience is going to look like here with Service Edge. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, add a site. You get the list of Meraki sites because you're in the Meraki dashboard. You select which Meraki sites you want to assign to a given region. You select the region, not the data centers, just the region, and then hit next. You can confirm, review and confirm, finish and save, and they magically connect. So we're down to that, really what we're aiming for in simplicity. We're allowed 3 steps, no more. So that's one thing. Now on to unified policies. I hand it over to Akshar.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for handing me over. So, as we all heard, like we had the last TechFuel Day, we talked about policy import, which was another deep Meraki integration initiative. This is one step above that, which is we are going to be talking about more of like how a SD-WAN and a cloud policies can come together and become a truly unified policy. But before jumping into that, what's the current state of policy? In the Meraki SD-WAN deployment, each of the MX boxes that you deploy is a single separate network. And then anytime you have to configure a common policy across the entire branch network, you have to do it one at a time, right? Because every SD-WAN branch has separate firewall page. So if you have to do like block Facebook for 50 sites, you're literally going to one site at a time and blocking that by creating this single rule every time. So then one might argue is like, okay, there's a template capability there. Why don't we use template? Which is true, you can do it via template, but the moment you attach a site to the template, you are dealing with the rigidity. Let's say you have to make an exception for a particular site for specific rules. Template can do that. So you have to unbind the templated network and redo the stuff again. And then another probably an option could be an API, but then let's face it, not everybody is looking for APIs as a solution. And then as the cloud firewall that we bring in to complete our unified SASE architecture, this also gives you another set of capability into the dashboard to create policies on, which means you're looking at another place for your policy management. So then we were thinking is like, okay, customers are asking for single pane of glass all the time. What does that single pane of glass mean to a customer? And so we started asking these questions, and there's really, after reading all the question answers or sitting with customers for talking, we came back with the conclusion that, okay, there's an aspect of a single pane of glass view that actually helps solve a problem for management, audit, and enforcement. So when we ask for what's the problem with management, the first thing they say is, well, I have to actually have a central place where I can actually see what my org-wide policies are. And today there's no place available in the dashboard, so they manage it on a spreadsheet, well, which is a very manual work. So then we asked like, well, what's the need for that in the first place? And the second thing that they came up with is like, there's a need for audit. So the audit thing is if the regulatory or compliance agencies come back to the customer saying that I need to audit your org, the important thing that they look at is how your policy is being enforced. So that brings me to the third point is like enforcement. Now, there's a multiple enforcement point available across the organization. And so when the audit comes in, you have to really understand how this enforcement works. And what they're trying to do is if we can get the single pane of glass to solve a really key problem of enforcement by giving you more visibility and then giving you an efficient way to enforce the policies across the data path, that's what they're looking for. So we understood these challenges and then think about it, like how can we solve this? Because we have the power of cloud native dashboard and all this product resides on a cloud native dashboard. So then we have the visibility into our data sets. So that's when the whole unified policy approach comes in, where I'm going to introduce today that we are thinking about bringing in unified policy for both the Secure Connect and the Meraki SD-WAN branch together in a single pane of glass view. It again works on the same motto of centralized management, distributed enforcement. Now, when you define your intent of the policy, the engine will automatically understand where it needs to be enforced across the data path, and then it will select the enforcement point on its own. If you are looking for overriding some of the stuff, you can also do the manual enforcement. And then if you want to make an exceptions on the local networks or local sites, then you can do the exceptions while keeping your org-wide common policy maintained as it is. So I want to show you a quick demo of how this works. So as you can see, this is a greenfield environment. I'm trying to create a rule here. My motivation for the rule or intent is to block finance, not accessing engineering resource, peer-to-peer applications, and a random destination on the public internet. So I came here, I know that my finance VLAN is lived on VLAN ID 4. I don't know what branches they are, but according to my IP schema, they should be on VLAN 4. So I selected that. I denied my intention, and then I selected the destination. So first one is peer-to-peer, which is all the applications available under that category. This is my VPN subnet source, which I'm creating an object because I need that context, like what's this IP for me or what's the subnet for me? And then I'm adding this one of destination that I feel like it's a threat for my organization, but I don't want to create an.
When you're creating those object names, is there like a, mainly I don't want somebody to create multiple different names for the same thing. So would there be like a place that all of the object names exist?
Yes.
Okay.
So as you can see on the left now, I'm under organization, right? So this is a policy page. There's another org-wide page called object, policy object. That's where every object that you have created so far is available. You can filter by an IP address, then you will see like how many duplicates are created. You can condense them into one as well.
You'd have to check though. You couldn't stop somebody from creating duplicates.
Yeah, I mean that's technically possible, but on this model, right now it's not. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So from here, as you can see, the site's enforcements are automatically selected. I haven't even gone to that step yet, but because of the criteria and the intent, I already saw that. If you want to scale up your enforcements, you can also do it via the tag. So if you just select which tag that I want to enforce based on, that will be fine as well. This is for a context like not enforce policies across. And then I also want to add one more rule, which is my overlay rule. So let's say a branch has an employee who I don't want them to print something on my headquarter network and the traffic goes over the overlay fabric. So then I'm going to create a rule. Protocol can be TCP, and I know that branch has VLAN 2 where the employees are connecting. So I just selected that VLAN, and then I'm going to be, and again, my intent is deny, and then the destination will be my printer HQ subnet. So I type in the subnet. Again, I created the object because the context. And then as you can see, the enforcement is already selected on its own. I'm going to specify a printer destination port just to make sure like I don't block anything else. And then, so as you can see, I have site-to-site VPN, which is your overlay fabric where I'm blocking this, and also the branch itself. Now, one may want to make sure that, okay, these rules are enforced on everything that it shows, is it really enforced on those places? So here's the proof that you can go to security in SD-WAN and site-to-site VPN page. This is your overlay fabric where you manage your overlay rules. And as you can see, there's a read-only rule here, which is blocking your printer subnet. Why it's read-only? Because I want to make sure like this is managed on an org-wide, not on the local network. Others rule are exceptions. Same way for this SD-WAN firewall branch. This is the org-wide rule. These are the exceptions that I'm making on top.
And if you mentioned auditing, so if you need to create evidence for audits, would you have to show them this page or take a screenshot of this page, or can you do like an export of specifics?
Exactly, yeah. So you can actually, if you want to export everything, you can just export everything. If you want to select some of the rules, export them for sure, depending on the need. Yeah. And this is our cloud firewall page where you can also see like org-wide firewall rules, and this is only specific to probably remote access customer users or something. So that's our unified policy, that what we are coming up with the next as a policy evolution.
Going back to the auditing, I assume there's someplace where it's actually logged and I can prove that it was blocked.
Yeah,
Hopefully
so
not just the policy, but hey, look, on this date at this time, it was actually blocked.
yeah, so on the cloud firewall, you can definitely track that down. And on the SD-WAN branch, there's a feature coming called firewall events policy. So that will give you that history of where, when, where, who actually tried to access something and get blocked.
That would be the other thing. Find out who tried to violate the rule of the server.
For sure. Yeah.